Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I say the word gluten. Does it resonate with you? If it does, then you've been very uncomfortable for probably some time and maybe found the answer to take care of your situation in terms of your sensitivity. If not, maybe you do have a challenge with that and don't even know it. So we're going to dig a little deeper into that. Dr. Ynge is with us, and she is the woman behind the allergykit.com. Ynge, how are you today? How's everything?
I'm very good, thank you. I don't eat wheat.
I don't think I have a gluten sensitivity, but you never know until you either evaluate it or just eliminate it altogether. And, you know, there's challenges with that too, of replacing foods and things like that. In your travels and speaking with people and developing the allergykit.com, what do you hear about gluten? What do people tell you?
A lot of people understand that they have a gluten intolerance, but many people do not. They don't put together that they're feeling bad, that they're digesting being bad, suffering from all kinds of stuff, really, from IBS and Crohn's disease and whatever you can find with the gut has to do probably with wheat.
And with what you offer, the allergy kit, you have a way to find out if somebody has a sensitivity for gluten.
Well, my kit is built, the basic kit is built with 7 vials. And my experience is that everybody is either allergic or sensitive to almost all of them. Very rarely they are not. I have only met one person in my old 23 or whatever, since 98, I started to treat allergies that did not have any. And he was from the islands, grew up in the boonies, no pesticides, no vaccines, piglets, chicken, food, everything was from where they lived. And otherwise, because we are exposed to so many things, our immune system goes down.
That speaks volumes right there in terms of what we've done to our bodies with modern day life here in the United States. Wow. Wow. So it is a product of the chemicals and everything else that we're even indirectly ingesting?
It is a combination of, first of all, what and how much we eat. I mean, first of all, it started to be hybridized in like 75, maybe even 80 years ago. They wanted to create a wheat that was low, so they didn't have to take care of all the stalks. And in the process, some pieces and things in the wheat got worse, not better. The idea was good, I suppose, because it was to feed more people. But what has happened is that people eat, everything is different today. They eat wheat maybe 4 times, maybe even more a day. And wheat has, first of all, it has several proteins in it. And one of them is called zonulin. And that protein makes holes in your intestinal lining, which allows the unprocessed or partially digested food go out in the bloodstream. And that is one way how we get food allergies, because then the body starts to build antibodies against these foreign things, you know. And
I'm blown away. I had no idea that is how this all begins for many of us.
yes.
Wow.
So if you keep eating wheat 4 times or more a day, you have that constantly, and people end up, I hear that quite often, it's nothing rare. I can't eat anything. I'm allergic to everything. And one person, she said, I can only eat red meat. And that is because the more everything you put in that goes out in the bloodstream, you get an allergy because you get an antibody to it.
So if I have this right, the damage that was done, let's say from the gluten insensitivity or sensitivity, now has turned into other issues because it entered the bloodstream when you're eating other things.
Exactly.
Why don't we hear about this more? Because I think if more
I
people,
think it is getting out there, but it's not easy to be an alternative health professional, because most people, they look up to their doctors as gods and listen to them, and they often don't know. They are taught to give you a pill, more or less.
sure,
Not everybody, of course, but I think so. The not mainstream allopathic doctors, they also have to be a little careful, because they may lose their license if they say something that is not according to the rules.
Well, when what you're saying, Ynge, not the remedy, but what's actually going on within our bodies, I got to believe that that's been proven. That's research, medically proven that that's why our bodies react to other things that we eat, because it entered our bloodstream improperly.
And only a few years ago, doctors said, no, leaky gut does not exist, but it is now proven it does exist. And it is much more common than you think, because people, lots of people, they don't go to the doctor for everything. And also, it's a slow thing. It doesn't happen from today to tomorrow. It may take years to develop. So often I think people are not really in tune with their body. They're not in tune how they feel. They don't pay attention to that they are gaining weight, for example. Or it's just, no, it's getting older. It is what it is. But no, it's not.
Well, you did make it even more clear by saying leaky gut, because, you know, when we first said holes in your stomach, you know, you visualize even tiny.
In the lining, yeah. It's in the lining of the intestines.
Right.
They have tight junctions, and the wheat, that protein called zonulin, manages to go in between, and it's not supposed to, of course.
So back in the day, you know, of course, we were eating wheat products, call it 100 years ago, whatever it might be. How come it didn't affect us like it does now? Is it the pesticides, chemicals?
That also, it has a lot of different things really to do with it. First of all, it was ground on stones, not in steel mills. So it was much more coarse. It was not as fine as it is now. So now you eat wheat and it goes directly into the bloodstream. And I think the zonulin can make more harm when it is so small. Plus it, when it is so, what do you call it, bigger pieces, it's harder for the digest. It goes much slower.
Okay.
And that is one of the things. Also, in the old times, the baker came in at 3 o'clock in the morning and put the dough on and let it grow and massaged it, and then made it grow again and then baked it. Now they come in 2 hours before and make the dough, cut it up in pieces, throw it up in the oven. So in 2 hours you have a bread. So the process of fermenting is so shortened that also add to the whole process.
And I would have to believe with the bigger pieces, different process, like you said, takes longer to digest, but gives it more of an opportunity to wreak havoc in your digestive system.
Well, now that it goes so fast, it goes faster out in the bloodstream.
Faster in the bloodstream, but
Yeah.
because it's ground down more. And
Yes, it's like just a gluey, sticky thing that it becomes.
So with the allergy kit that you offer, you have the 7 essential ones, or call them the basic ones.
The basic ones. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If somebody thinks that they might have a gluten, sensitivity, would that be used? One of those, would that address it?
One of them. So there are 7 vials. There are 8 vials, but there are 7 vials for food and 1 for stress. And the 6 vial, number 6, is for grains and wheat and gluten.
I find it fascinating how you've designed this, because I'm a big believer in energy, and this is basically done using energy.
It's an energy treatment, yes.
Yeah. So you identified a certain frequency for each of these vials. Do I have that right?
Yeah, every food has, I mean, everything has different energy.
Sure.
And today it is like you download music. It's really the same thing. Frequency, that's also frequencies.
Yep.
Because it sounds very strange. I know that people react, they say, how can you do that? But how can you download music to your phone? That same thing.
Even as we're speaking right now, our voices are a frequency that's coming out, and that's energy. Everything is energy. So in an amazing way, you've identified the frequency for each of these different vials to find out what we're sensitive to and maybe what we're not sensitive to. Tech question, because I'm kind of geeky like that. Let's say the vial for the grains. What frequency would that be? Would you know? I mean, even in the ballpark?
No, I can't even say. It's the frequency of the wheat, the frequency of the rye, the frequency. It's all these different frequencies.
Gotcha.
And when we have those same frequencies in us, by treating with the vials, these frequencies are taken. They take each other out. So that's why you won't have a reaction when you eat it.
Got it. Wow.
I just want to have a warning about the wheat, because there's another protein too, I have to say that, which is called gluteomorphin. Gluteomorphin. It's some kind of morphin. It reacts in some people get high when they eat wheat, but it is habit forming. Or not but, and it is habit forming.
All right, I want to make sure I hear all of this clear. So you're saying that a certain protein in the wheat can be habit forming?
Yes.
Wow. And that might be, could that be why a lot of us are, call it, addicted to, let's say, dinner rolls? We have this craving, like, I need that. I'm eating that no matter what. I'm on a diet. Doesn't matter to me. I need that.
That is why. That is the reason. That's why it is so hard for people to go off of wheat, even if they know it's not good for them.
Another mind blow here. Things you learn. You bring to light a lot of interesting things that, and it's, I don't think it's that people are just craving carbs. They ought to have that bread, like that, that you're at the restaurant, they drop that bread. I don't care who is on a diet or whatever. It's game over right there. You're reaching for it. You need it because you probably remember how good it is and why you want it, but maybe you're addicted to it in some regards.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, milk has the same thing. It's called casein.
Yes.
So it's not only in wheat, but I don't think people consume milk. Well, maybe cheese and stuff, but still, wheat is the thing that you can just grab, go out, buy anywhere, and buy a sandwich.
Yeah.
That's lunch or a main meal even.
And your meal isn't complete typically unless you have some kind of bread product. I mean, psychologically, like some of my friends order a hamburger without the bun. I just don't want to, less carbs, don't want to deal with the wheat. Not that I know that I have issues with that, but why not? I don't need it. There's some people that look at you like, there's something wrong with you.
Yes, I always order without the buns.
Yeah, well, but some people, it's just it's sacrilegious. Like, how can you even do that? But maybe
But then you can also think about having a fettuccine. I love it. I haven't had it for years and years and years, but you get it with a bun.
Interesting. All right. So why don't we talk about the allergy kit that you offer and how the laser that's included can help remedy a lot of your sensitivities? I know we've talked about it before. We kind of skimmed it a little bit, but I find it fascinating. And I think there's always new people checking us out. So I think we should address that again.
Yeah. So the laser is really something amazing. It's used for many, many things, and it's used in healing. And the treatment in the beginning, when I created the allergy kit, I used acupuncture. And then, of course, I wanted it to be able to be used by many people. And in the beginning, I did with the tapping method, the emotional freedom technique tapping.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think somebody else gave me the idea. I read something about laser one time. So I started to figure out about that and read about it and study and try it. And I found it worked better. Plus, this keeps, for example, normally there is something called NATE. That's Nambu allergy elimination technique. I was a practitioner of hers. I just found it took too long and people didn't come back because they felt better, but it was, time consuming and money consuming. And so then I started to use the laser and I found that the treatments worked better. And I didn't have to stay away for 25 hours from whatever they were treating, which when it comes to children is very hard. If they are on milk, for example, to stay away from milk for 25 hours is almost impossible. So it works. How it works, I really don't know.
Okay.
I only know it does. And many people, they use the laser for other things. Some people have used it on zits, for example, or if they have a pain or a rash.
Sure.
So a lot of different things that you can use it for.
Yeah, laser therapy, red light therapy, it's been around for a long time and definitely works. Even to your point, your complexion, you can use it on that. When you use the laser pointer in connection with your allergy kit, I remember you had said something about the belly button. Is that
So you start the treatment, you start with the stress vial. You always use a stress vial with any treatment of the allergy kits. Only the emotions, you don't need to use it. But because when you have anything, a cold or ache, or every cell in your body is under stress. So I found this with a couple of patients that they were too tight. They didn't react. I had to repeat the treatments and do them, several rounds. And I created the stress vial and found that it worked much better. So you do the stress vial and you do, for example, when you start the kit, you do number 1, which is the egg, chicken, milk, and dairy, and vitamin C and parasites. And you use also a Q-tip. You just lightly lick on it because you don't want to make it wet so you contaminate the vials. Just lightly. You put them over the belly button. The saliva, because everything that goes on in the body is in the saliva. And the belly button is the center of the body, but it is also the center of the digestive system. So it's like a snapshot. The body knows what to do. And then you shine the laser on the belly button through the vials. And then you go over the head, the midline of the head, which of course is connected to the spine. Then you do the ears and the belly button again. The ear, because in Chinese medicine, the ear is like an upside down fetus. This is the butt and this is the head. And then you can figure out where the arms and the legs are. So you're treating the whole body by doing the ears. And you repeat this twice. So you start and end on the belly button. So you do the belly button 3 times and the other points 2 times. That's the whole treatment.
It stands to reason that because you're dealing with energy coming from a laser, and energy healing works. I can tell you personally, I've been through it, in terms of chakras and Reiki and all of that. And that's all energy healing. And just what you said, Ynge, you put it in, it knows where to go in terms of the laser in the belly button. It's just the energy knows where it needs to go and to get the job done, to making you, I guess, less sensitive to certain compounds, components, foods, whatever it might be.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and of course, when we go back to wheat and all, that what you mentioned first, herbicides and pesticides, for example. Nowadays, we have the glyphosate, which is in Roundup. And I don't know how many people have a bottle of Roundup in their garage. Lots of people. Glyphosate was first classified as a herbicide, but in, I think it was 2010, it was classified as an antibiotic. So when you are eating non-organic food, you keep eating antibiotic. And for example, if you get a round of antibiotic, it is shown that these people, 17% of people who get antibiotics within a year are depressed. They get depression. And I think it was 23% within a year, they then suffer from anxiety. So what does it do to constantly eat glyphosate, antibiotics?
No words. It's unbelievable. And yeah, I used to have Roundup in my shed and used to use that kind of quite often. It's been years, call it at least 4 or so, but it's just a common thing. And then also you look at all the lawsuits involving Roundup. There's attorneys that are out there just waiting, you know, to work with people that have had, I guess, challenges with it, you know.
Lots of challenges, yes.
Yeah, unbelievable. Wow. And I don't even think, you know, I don't think that in terms of growing food, I don't think Roundup, I think of just weeds around, but I guess it's used for in many applications with growing.
Yes. So not only do we destroy ourselves by eating it, but it is detrimental to our world, to Mother Earth. What we have done, you know, there is glyphosate in the groundwater, for example. It affects our wild animals and anything that is alive. And well, not only that, now the the weeds, they are growing super weeds. So
yeah. And guess what? Go to the store, you can buy Roundup.
yes.
It's still on the shelves. They still sell it. You would think that knowing that it can cause harm and issues in mass population, that this stuff wouldn't be sold anymore.
You would think, but that is why I think people don't understand, or they are not informed, or they don't understand the whole picture. It's not only them, it's all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. We've done some bad things and not even knowing that we're doing them. And now we're kind of catching up. And fortunately, you've come up with the concept of the allergy kit that we can identify some of those things. And maybe we don't even know why we're not feeling well. But definitely a great concept and affordable as well. And the part that I love, what's contained in the vials lasts indefinitely, right? There's no expiration date.
No expiration date, and so you can use it several times, and you can use it for the whole family.
Right. Yeah. There's no age whatsoever because the vials is just. What is the fluid? Is it a certain type of water?
It's water, because water is the liquid that has the best memory.
Things I learn every day, something new. Wow, how interesting. So if somebody, because there's a lot of questions, I'm sure that many of us have surrounding all of us, and especially with the allergy kit, can they reach out to you on the website and find you?
Yes, they can go to my other website, which is drynge.com, drynge.com. And there they can also download a free 10 amazing allergies that you don't know of. And there is also a phone number where they can, and my email address, but they can call and leave a message, and they can schedule a free consultation if they want to do that. And I also have my book about autism on there. They can buy it there too.
Which is a great book and ties into everything we're talking about, because some of the issues that your child may be having could be directly related to everything here.
Absolutely. And they are.
Yeah. It's and I forget the number, but it's, what is it, 2 in 10? What is the number in terms of the number of boys that will be diagnosed with autism or on the spectrum in the next few years?
In 32, it's I read a prognosis of 1 boy in 2 will be on the spectrum.
Yeah. And that in mind, learn more about theallergykit.com and how it can help you and your family identify some of the things that you might be ingesting that aren't really agreeing with your body and get healthy again. Ynge, great talking with you. I've learned a lot of things. I don't know that I wanted to learn them, but we needed to learn them today. But and for that, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you being here. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.